Hey Divas, welcome back to another video. It is me, Apollo Smith. Today, I just want to get straight into the topic because I feel like whenever I'm coming on here and I'm making a video, I'm always spending the majority of like the first 5 minutes kind of discussing what I want to talk about, which leaves me with this very short amount of time to actually talk about what I want to talk about. And then the video ends up being like 20 minutes. Previously on my channel, I have talked about finding myself and trying to figure out who I am and who am I outside of, the concept of how I'm perceived, or who actually am I when you take away the need to be liked, the need to be seen, the need to be loved, the need for validation. Like, who am I actually outside of that? Great question. I've been asking myself this for 20 years. Um, but no, and I've also talked about how when I first left home, I found myself in this weird space where I was like, this is uncomfortable. Which you'd think when you leave such a toxic, abusive environment, you kind of feel this relief. And for a minute, I did. But then it straight away went to, this is weird, it's quiet. And I sort of lost my creative process. Anyway, so I ended up going to therapy. And my therapist said to me, she said, what is the main thing that you want to get out of this? And I said, honestly, I want to figure out who I am because I don't know who I am. Today's topic is basically talking about how I'm on this journey and finding myself. Now, let me just put this out there right now. Me talking about my experiences isn't like let me talk about my experiences, have everybody feel sorry for me, come on over, listen to me, Gaelic bant away. No, it's the opposite. I kind of want to have this as a space, right? I don't know who I am. I never have ever known who I am. And there is so many parts of my life that I am trying to navigate as a 21-year-old. There is so many parts of my life that I just find so hard to deal with. And I thought, you know what? Why not, you know, go online where there is thousands of other people exactly like me. And I don't know, like, in a way, have people realize they're not alone. Have people realize that they can relate to my story and then go off and do their own thing, or we can kind of riff off each other, be back and forth, help each other. Like, I want this to be a sort of space where we're like, the main goal is we want to reach the highest versions of ourselves. We want to be able to navigate life and not feel like such a burden for asking for help, because it's quite the opposite. I spent most of my life doing shit myself. 13 years old, I got a job. I was a paperboy. I delivered newspapers, and from the age of 13, I worked many, many jobs. I started paying bills at the age of 17, and all these small different things that seem so minuscule. You're blessed, you had a job, or things like that. There is reasons for why I had those jobs, reasons for why I'm paying bills at 17. But my point is, from a young age, I have not just had to figure all this out myself, but I've done it alone with no help. Now I'm 21 and I'm like, girl, I'm not going to do this alone for the rest of my life because I'm not going to end up like my parents, miserable and alone. There is this thing, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with this, and I know that, especially women as well, a lot of women will relate to this when I say there is this thing inside of us, especially when it comes to validation itself, that for some reason we go searching that in a man, right? Have you ever noticed that, I don't know, yourself or somebody you know, it always seems like they're just hopping from one man to another? It's so easy for us to call people sluts and call them whores, you know? When the reality is, there's a lot of people, a lot, the vast majority of us, that the only way we know how to, again, navigate life, the only way we feel comfortable is if we have somebody else, especially intimately. So it got me thinking a while ago, you know, maybe that's my problem. I don't know who I am because I always needed somebody. So then I took a step back. I haven't had a boyfriend in, God, I can't even tell you the last time I had a boyfriend. I haven't had a boyfriend in a long time. And I don't think I ever will for a long time. I've had my talking stages, sure, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, I just want to figure this one out by myself, right? And I've noticed that when I remove myself from that whole thing of like, I need to find a man, I need to be loved, and blah blah blah, I noticed a lot of things changed in my life, like a lot. And I'm not talking about like external things, I'm talking about internal things. I realized that I found more confidence in myself and I was able to give myself permission in a way to feel certain things, to do certain things, and not be restricted or held back. You know, my sister says to me all the time, she says, it's not that you don't want to be in a relationship, it's that you're scared of commitment. And honestly, I did used to believe that, but then I realized, hold up, because I have had to commit myself to life. I have had to commit myself to jobs. I've had to commit myself to an income so I'm able to pay bills. I have all these other things, friendships, a job, all these different things, and I had to commit to. So then, yet again, I'm in a position where I'm like, so what is it? Why don't I? Like, what is it really? Why do you really not want to be in a relationship? And that's when it hit me that how can I love somebody else if I don't love myself? How can I be in a relationship and trust them and feel confident and love them with everything when I have none of that towards myself? Which kind of sent me on this whole deep dive into trying to figure out who I am. I don't know who I am. I don't. I really, really don't. Even though I have stopped this whole thing of like needing men to thrive in my life, I'm still finding people or things, mainly people, to base my personality off, to help change it. Like, anytime I'm interested in a guy, I will change every single thing about myself. I will change every single thing about myself to the point I don't recognize myself no more. And I had this saying the other week, and it was I changed everything about myself, but the only thing that stayed the same was that I loved you. And to be honest, I've only ever felt that once in my life, and it really did fucking like it hit deep for me because I was like, oh my god, that is just like so deep, it's so true. And I've noticed that it's not that I want to be in love, it's not that I want to be loved, it's the validation that I get from being loved. It's almost like I need somebody to give me permission into feeling comfort, to feel appreciated, to feel loved. So here I am at the age of 21, and I have all these internal issues that I need to work on. And it's like, which we're going to pivot right here, we're going to pivot, which might honestly not make any sense, but like, hear me out. I've noticed that when I start working on an area in my life that needs improvement, it's like another thing floats to the surface and it's another thing for me to work on. And So I'm like, okay, let me do that. And then I'm bouncing between all these different things that I need to work bouncing between all these different things that I need to work on, and I'm getting lost in it. And so it seems to me that the confidence is getting even lower, and the self-esteem and trying to figure out who I am is becoming so much more hard work. And it's like this road where it's like I just need to get to the end of that road, but it's like every step I take the road gets longer, and I don't want to spend the majority of my life trying to figure out who I am. And I know that it's not just so easy to be able to figure out who you are, but if anything, I want to make progress, and I feel like I'm not. I find it so hard to kind of sit down and be like, what do you like? What do you want? Who are you? And when I turned 21 the other week, I had this sort of epiphany moment where I was like, it's no longer about what other people want, it's about what I want. It's no longer about what makes other people happy, it's about what makes me happy. I'm in this period of my life where I'm like, I'm 21 years old, and like I said in another video, I just feel so behind, and I feel like I've just, in a way, failed. That I'm like, it's no longer about pleasing others, it's about trying to find what's right for me and trying to find exactly pinpoint who I actually am. And here's the thing as well, like, I can easily make friends, and I do very easily make friends. But the problem is that when I'm making these friends, they are just, which, like, no shade, like, at all, no shade. But these friends just aren't on the same kind of wavelength that I am, in the sense that the emotional intelligence that hold people I hold people to certain standards of like, you need to have like this level of emotional intelligence, and you need to be like this amount of self-aware, and you need to have like these kind of goals or these morals. And I've noticed that I'm finding people who have the exact opposite. There's only one person in my life right now that whenever I have a problem I go to, because this woman is God sent, and that's Shelby. And y'all know we follow each other on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel of her own. Shout out to Shelby Medusa, like period. But she is just such self, such a self-aware person, and so just, I don't know, like when I say her, it's kind of like that's that's exactly what I need in my life. They are the type of friends I need, and that is who I want to be. Because even though I'll sit here and say, I need somebody emotionally intelligent, I need somebody to communicate with, I still find myself in moments 50% of the time where I'm not doing that. And so it's like, so are you emotionally intelligent? Are you not? I'm a very self aware person, and I'm noticing all these different things that are wrong about myself that I don't like. So change it. But then we're back in the same position. I want to change it to be able to figure out who I am. But then another problem comes up. It's like you're in an excavation site, you're digging for a certain type of bone, a certain type of fossil. And the deeper you go, the more fossils you find, the more things that you find from the past that are just like, whoa, I didn't know this existed. This is groundbreaking. No, stop the whole entire exhibition, because now we need to focus on what this is. We need to find out what this is, because this changes everything. And that is exactly what I'm living. But the deeper I go into trying to figure out who I am, the more shit comes up, the more I've got to work on. And nobody told me that in order to get to the root of the cause, you have to get through all this other shit first. You need to figure out all these other different things. And I'm finding myself in certain moments reliving trauma, things that I didn't even know happened coming up, and I'm being like, it changes everything. Moral of the story is, I'm 21 years old and I'm still trying to figure out who I am. And I don't think I'm actually going to figure that out for a long, long time. It's a crazy world we live in. It's really crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's like I said in my last video, maybe I do need more people in my life with such self awareness and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, personally, I don't think I could sleep peacefully at night knowing that I was using somebody else to get where I want in life. It's a fucked up process. And I'm kind of just like learning to battle all this shit on my own. But at the same time, like, I'm actually not even that mad. Because, like, doing all this, in turn, I have learned so much about myself. I've learned things about myself. And I've experienced things, and it's really a pros and cons type of situation. Like, what outweighs what, really, when you think about it? And then maybe it's just a case of like, I need to be more positive instead of being constantly going back to that negative mindset. Maybe if I just stay positive, no matter what, it'll get easier. Who knows? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I really do enjoy just sitting down and having this sort of one-on-one. Because the crazy thing is, I'm recording this, it's going up, and then other people are watching it and they're giving me their feedback, and I'm just like, I don't know, it just puts me in such a good headspace. I really do love it. It is such a hobby, and it's just such, like, this is one of the things in my life that I just value so much because I don't know. I actually don't know. It just makes me feel different. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to talk to me or let me know what you thought of this, or if you got advice, hey, don't be scared. If you're going to do the exact same thing, holler at me, girl. And on that note, I will see you guys next week. And I do just want to say, next week I've got some surprises, okay? I'm doing a cooking video, cosplay video, like the whole shebang. Like, we finna get crazy up in here. Anyways, Apollo out.